Coming to you live from Cyberdyne Systems headquarters, it's the 10 Point Podcast. My name is Bruce, but the 10 Point Podcast has become self-aware and Judgment Day is coming. Luckily, I've broken these two psychopaths out of maximum security for the occasion. First,
please let
this
Chris
one
be the
grows.
molested one.
Chris grows more and more disconnected from reality as time goes on. It's Chris. And secondly, this severe routine is getting old. You're acting like such a geek. It's Andy.
I'll take that one.
There's not much insulting and
no.
quips thrown in different directions in this.
You could just call us little dipshits.
Yeah, I could have done that. Or dickwad, whatever it was who comes up with in the car. We are the 10 Point Podcast. You can find us everywhere on the internet, reviewing films, usually of a classic nature. I've realised that last time we did an absolutely brand new one was a wee while ago, I believe, unless I'm missing something completely obvious.
Me.
We did
I pull left field ones out like Prey and some bangers.
Exactly.
Day of release podcast reviews.
Cocaine Bear, if it had been a home release,
Cocaine
like
Bear.
2005 this year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I think that might
very
be
much
my next year's
new
Inception. Bangers that you guys have not seen.
Whenever Inception came out, that was the latest.
I guess it would be, yeah. And then I did the earliest and doing the Wizard of Oz this season. So, yeah. Anyway, search 10 Point Podcast on the internet. You'll find us. Our website, 10pointpodcast.com, where you can contact us, send emails, send any documentation, any offers. I'll read ad copy, anything at the beginning. The sponsorship would be much appreciated.
Money to go to Dubai.
Yeah, I will come and do us a live gig for you, reviewing any film that you like.
Any shake, we're fine.
Facebook, Twitter, well, the former Twitter, which has become a hellhole nowadays, Twitter. But anyway, we're over on them, 10 Point Podcast.
Also, next season, Facebook will be back up and running because I kind of forgot about it this season.
I mean, I've been on the Twitter quite a lot, but Twitter is a horrible place these days, and we're not going to do threads and Instagram and all that sort of stuff. So YouTube, that's a good place because you can put comments.
To us there as well. But
yeah, comments.
They're too scared because of that one time that I attacked a fan.
Yeah, YouTube video versions
come after you.
Yeah.
Video versions where you can see us doing the exact same thing as you can hear on the podcast. Most of you listen, but some of you watch the YouTube videos. Spotify does both. Chris's impression of a news anchor there. Yeah, Spotify video versions too. And yeah, we love Spotify. Listen to us over there. Apple, Amazon, all the places. Anyway, 10 Point Podcast. We are the one and only, except no imitations or.
I'm surprised nobody came up with the number 10 podcast yet. I thought that would happen.
Yeah, it probably is actually.
Is that Chinese knockoff that keeps just using our videos and posting them on their website?
I don't often do a vanity search for the podcast and find something else.
I've done some reverse Google searches. It's just like, why are we on this? Like this, all my traffic's going to this random Chinese website. It's like, come to my website. I thought there was one podcast where it said like we'd got like 50 listens in a week, and I was like, oh, that's not great. And I clicked on theirs, and they had like 2,000. I was like, what? Like, why
direct all your bots to our outlets, not to some random Chinese outlet. Yes, exactly. Anyway, that's all. That's who we are. There's we don't have. You'd be surprised to hear we don't have much in the way of off podcast production meetings. This is us talking about this for the first time now. So
that's how we roll.
Before we get on
Chris
to
might fall off his chair, who knows? Kids might.
I'm on a bed. I've got plenty of space
out of bed. My chair's probably going to start lowering down quite soon because it's been stable for a while. Anyway, enough random chat. Let's talk about actual things before we get on to the reason. What was everybody's highlight of the week? I have done no pre-interview on this, so I'm going to go straight to Chris and ask what was his highlight of the week.
I haven't watched anything actually. I caught up on the Monarch series, so I'm up to date.
Oh, right.
That confused me with a random change of day release date because of Godzilla -1.
Yeah, I know. It was Wednesday, wasn't it? And out of nowhere it's Friday.
It's because -1 came out on Thursday, so they wanted everybody to go watch -1.
My plan is to see -1 next week. That is my plan.
Me too.
My plan is also to wait for this Monarch series to finish and then subscribe to Apple to watch it all. That is my plan.
You're one of those.
I've not seen any of it yet.
Not seen any of it, no. And as you may well know, I'm probably the biggest Godzilla fan around. Speaking of which, this new Godzilla Kong trailer.
Oh yeah.
I feel like they're making less what I want with every single movie it goes past.
You mean you don't want Godzilla to be Thanos with a golden gauntlet? And
why is it pink?
Why is it?
That's woke Godzilla.
I don't want baby Kongs. I don't want them running.
It's Rose Godzilla. That is a thing, but he looks way more pink than he does technically Rose. But
no, the Hollow Earth thing. I was like, okay, Hollow Earth theory. That's where they came from. Fine, But now taking all of these gigantic monsters into a land where there's a bunch of gigantic monsters, the whole point is we small humans, big lizard, big monkey. Like the whole point is look at these giant monsters, not look at all these equally sized monsters all in the same place at the same time. Like,
I had my own belter of a theory, and then I was telling Chantel, I was like, oh, this. And then the day after I said, I think somebody listened to my Facebook and stole everything, because I was like, oh, that's what happens when Barbie and Oppenheimer happen. You get Pink Godzilla.
Right, okay.
And then suddenly, I just made that come out of the blue after watching the trailer, and then suddenly, 2 days later, it's everywhere on the internet. I was like, what's my joke?
But yeah, I've not watched that this week. What I have been watching, and I'm absolutely flying through, is because a trailer came out for season 4 of The Boys. I've started The Boys season 1 again, and I have flown through nearly all of the first season. And even I used to always say, as we were going through, every season was better than the previous one. Now I've started at the beginning, and I'm like, how can anything get better than this? This is the best thing I've ever seen in my life, watching The Boys again. And the important stuff that happens in the first 5 episodes, I'm like, I can't believe this happened as early as this and all that. It's fantastic. I love The Boys. It is like the best thing.
I'm still watching Gen Z, but there's a lot of penis in Gen Z. A lot of penis.
Right, okay. Right, I see. Well, I will get there.
I'll get there that yet.
I'll fly through The Boys.
It's brilliant, but it's like a teen drama with a lot of penis. And actually now we've got a massive vagina, we shall say.
Guess it would be.
Yeah, it's just it's what a show.
What a show. Apparently there's going to be a Boys spin-off, another Boys spin-off in Mexico coming soon
Mexico, which apparently is going to star the Andor dude. Apparently
I heard that he was making it, but not necessarily in it. That's what I'd heard, but I could be wrong.
There's that. And then what was the other banger of rumor? The Boys are doing the new Fallout series. That's the Boys.
Oh yeah, that looks good. The Fallout.
Yeah, so they're doing that. But then also the new rumors is because obviously Sam and Dean Winchester from Supernatural have not really done much. Is Amazon want to take the Supernatural franchise and reboot it with them too?
Saw that,
but with the Boys creators, so they'll be Supernatural, but with a fuck ton of blood and gore. So I'm all for that as well.
Doing everything they wanted to.
Amazon have found their niche, like Seth Rogen and whatever their team do with blood and guts. They do it very well.
Do what you can get away with, basically. Yes. Andy, what was your highlight of the week?
So I watched a sleeper belter, which we normally have a tradition like a Sunday morning or Saturday morning. We watch cartoons or cartoon movies. Okay.
All right. Yeah.
So I'm a big fan. I'm not gonna say I hate it. I'm a big fan. Not as big as fan of Chantel, but she loves the Trolls movie. Okay, so
yeah, it came up recently, didn't it? Yeah.
We watched the new Trolls, the band back together.
Okay.
Oh my god, what a film! it had a twist which I'm going to ruin for you because you guys are never going to watch it.
Probably not going to watch.
I'm watching it. It stars Justin Timberlake, blah blah blah, and it's about getting the band back together.
Is he the troll or is he like the human?
He's the main troll. He's always the troll. He's the singer. Him and Anna Kendrick are the two trolls.
Right. Okay.
But in this one, we found out that he was in a band with his family, and the band basically they have to get the band back together to sing the perfect song. And then there's a great twist in the middle of it where it's like obviously he's in his band with his family. He's like, well, when you guys left, of course there was another band. And then we get an NSYNC reunion that I did not expect out of nowhere. I was like, yes! And it is the whole of NSYNC are back as trolls, putting out a new belter. So I'm all for that.
There are so many, I don't know, there's so much, I don't know, movies, films, TV, pop culture. It's all happening now that there is something for literally everybody. And it's like, I would never even venture near a Trolls movie to know.
I messaged Sean, I was like, you've got to watch Trolls. He's like, why? And he's like, and then he literally messaged and went, is NSYNC back together? And I was like, there is that. Now everything's going to be a world tour with NSYNC and JT back. And I was like, I'm all for it. I'm game. So yeah, that was a sleeper highlight. Other than that, I've been sitting, waiting, rocking in my chair, waiting for Squid Games to end. Which after this podcast ends, that is what I'm watching.
Really? Yep. So my boys watched through his delayed Squid Game, but I'll kind of get back on that because I
don't know if Sean's watched it yet, but he messaged me yesterday going, "This Squid Games is amazing. I might try and polish it off tonight." And I was like, Sean, you should definitely try and watch everything tonight, because knowing it just kind of gets up to the last episode and stops, and then he's got to wait until technically like today. So I don't know if he got that far, but he never messaged me.
I annoyed me that.
I suppose commissioned for another go round is going to be a second
season 2 as well, which is TV's back.
I'll try and get into it. I'll be the winner next year.
I was totally like, that's what we're doing, Chris. This 10-point podcast is Squid Games. That's what we're doing next year. I'm going to try
Our
and apply.
phones just going doing films as well.
Well-
Log. Shit, I'm dead.
Could you imagine
We'll
me
live
as the
vlog
Squid
as we
Games
go.
thing, Chris? I'd be fucking amazing at it. I'd be voted out straight away, first vote. I'm like,
You'd
I'd be
be-
good- I reckon I'd be great in the games, but people-wise, I'd be fucked.
Yeah.
I've been walking around. I've been going. Yeah, that number 1, 2, 3. Get him out. Yeah. Oh, I've got your back, Andrew. Don't you want to get him out? Go on, get him out.
Get rid.
So,
right. Before we
That-
talk too much about
that's a
things,
fact for doing that, by the way. That's
Right,
podcast
okay.
lore now.
right,
We're
I have
applying
no
to
idea
Squid
how long
Games.
we've been going, and we've not even mentioned the name of the film yet. So we better get going on what the point for the podcast is this week, because I feel like it's not going to be a short one. So let's get going. What's the point is point number one. The point this week is dramatic pause because IMDb have finally updated their genres.
Ooh,
So I don't
exciting.
have to just say the exact same one of 7 things they have. So this week we covered the 1991 dystopian sci-fi time travel action epic
Yes.
Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
They nailed it.
Yes, they did. Well, I compiled all the words they had into a sensible sort of sentence, I guess. The sequel to 1984's The Terminator. See, 5 episodes ago on the 10-point podcast, we have recently discovered that. Co-written by William Wisher, famous for writing additional dialogue for The Terminator, being co-writer of Terminator 2. He was a writer on Judge Dredd. See episode whatever of season 2, maybe, when we'd covered Judge Dredd. That's been done before. And then the 13th Warrior is the other big thing.
I was
he
going
has
to say
written.
13 Ghosts. I was like, yes.
Not 13
Oh.
Ghosts. Not written everything he's ever done, we've covered on the podcast. However, co-written and directed by possibly our most covered director on the podcast, James Cameron.
And somebody
famous
I don't actually
for-
hate.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a
the one
perfect
director.
example of somebody that can executive produce, direct, and write.
He can.
Nail it, unlike Christopher.
And according to the internet, he is most famous for these 4 things: Aliens,
Nailed it.
Titanic, Avatar, and Avatar: The Way of Water. They are the 4 things
what?
that he. Yeah,
Of
exactly.
course.
James Cameron, we've covered him. I think we've done both Terminators,
Yeah.
Avatar,
Yeah.
and Aliens. And I'm
Yes.
missing one. Is that it? I think that might be the James Camerons.
We haven't done
It was-
Titanic.
We haven't done
Yeah,
Titanic,
obviously.
haven't done The Abyss, and haven't done anything
Oh, the
else.
best. That's a good one.
Haven't done any other James
He's
Camerons.
been
But
incepted. He's off.
It's also already happened.
Yeah.
speaking of Inception, I think Nolan's might be the only one running him close. I don't think we've done quite as many Coen brothers either. But anyway, we think James Cameron might be number 1. Starring as the Terminator, as he is called in the credits in this one, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Famous for The Terminator, Terminator 2, Last Action Hero, and The Sixth Day. Not done that one.
We almost did the four.
Yeah, but they're the 4 big Arnie movies, apparently. We do him quite a lot. He might be also one of our most done actors. He comes up a lot. He was on the pilot episode that nobody but us have heard. But yes, you know Arnold Schwarzenegger, and we've covered him a lot. Co-starring as Sarah Connor. We've done her before because she's got her own segment on the podcast, Linda Hamilton. Famous for The Terminator, Terminator 2, Dante's Peak, and Terminator Dark Fate. Yes, heavy Terminator presence for Linda Hamilton. Talked about her 5 episodes ago. Won't go too deep into that. So, our new additions,
Yes,
Two.
that's why I picked it.
the starring. These are the 2 stars that Andy felt he had to get in on the podcast this season.
Well, it's mainly one.
As,
One's a bit of a guy.
as the T-1000,
Here we
Robert
go.
Patrick.
What a man.
Famous for Terminator 2, Fire in the Sky, The Faculty, which we have to do purely
That's a
for
brilliant-
Chris's 10-point podcast universe. Every film we ever do has a connection to The Faculty.
Faculty is
And
amazing.
we have to do that at some point. The X-Files, when David Duchovny left.
Yep.
Walk the Line, where he was Johnny Cash's dad. The Marine literally was one of his 4 on IMDb things he's famous for. The Marine is in the television show Scorpion and the television show Peacemaker as one of the main
Bangers.
people in that too.
He played
anything
the best
I've missed-
racist I know in a series.
Right, is that right? Anything I've missed Robert Patrick? Because he is absolutely one of these Hollywood's hardest working actors who has done every single television
like
show and
Wayne's
movie.
World, Last Action Hero. He's in everything.
Well, he plays the T-1000 in both of
Yeah,
those,
but
so it's a wee
still,
bit different.
It
Yeah,
counts.
but yes,
like,
He's
he,
probably the
genuinely,
best
I-
guy for playing a good guy, but forever looking evil.
Yeah,
being scary looking.
But this
yeah.
is
Yeah.
genuinely like, and I'll come up multiple times to this podcast. Like I've met him multiple times. He is like the
Me
nicest man
too.
in the world as well. But he has such a range. Like just deadpan this film. He doesn't really do much. There's no emotion. To right up, bang up to date, playing the funniest racist I've ever seen in like nothing like the T-1000, like in Peacemaker.
Right, yeah.
And it's just
Oh,
like,
Peacemaker.
what a range this guy. And then like playing a straight edge cop that you like in X-Files. He's really good.
Yeah,
in
he's
that.
very normal, yeah.
And then Scorpion, he's just like the kind of nice dad figure and stuff like that. And then he's like a bell end and other things. It's just like, how does he do it? Like, he's unsung. That's why I picked him.
Yes, underrated, I would say, Robert Patrick. And the 4th star, he was the introducing, because this was his first ever acting role as John Connor, Edward Furlong, famous for Terminator 2, probably the peak, in fact, undoubtedly the peak of his career, the first thing he was ever in, Terminator 2. I forget that he was the brother in American History X, and one of the major roles in that. He was one of the main 4 kids in Detroit Rock City, which I've never seen, but I'm aware of. He's one of the main kids in that. Then he made a whole bunch of movies that get 3 out of 10 on IMDb. Then he was in The Green Hornet, not that it was any better, but I always remember Edward Furlong showing up in The Green Hornet. Then he made a bunch of movies that get a 4 out of 10 on IMDb. And then he wasn't in Terminator Dark Fate, but wasn't in Terminator Dark Fate because he was really, really old and couldn't be 12-year-old John Connor anymore. But his face was, but he wasn't in Terminator Dark Fate. They are our main stars. We will touch on them as we go, and other people who pop up along the way. The budget for Terminator 2, just 102 million in 1991, which seems low, but also would be high back then, if you know what I'm saying. US opening weekend, $32 million at the box office. Final US gross, $206 million, exactly doubled its money. Final worldwide gross, $521 million it made. Setting records, I didn't actually have anything flag up in my trivia, but I'm positive this set records at the box office, but I could be mistaken on that. Probably for a rating as high as it had, it probably made a lot of money. Released on a very good weekend in the US, the 3rd of July 1991. This is why it got a good turn at the box office. Came to the UK on the 16th of August 1991, which would be roughly around the time the dates of Judgment Day were getting bandied about in the film, because they were all Skynet goes live in this in August and the whole world goes in that in August. So good release date for the UK there. Those release dates, summer 91, meant it was eligible for the 1992 awards season. Nominated for basically every award that existed in 1992, so I've had to pick the biggest and best here. 6 nominations at the 92 Oscars. Oh. Spoiler, it wins at least one and is the only Terminator movie to date to win an Oscar out of all of the 7 or something that they've made.
Change in anything in the future.
Possibly not. 6 nominations. Nominated for Best Makeup, it was the winner. Nominated for Best Sound, it was the winner. Nominated for Best Film Editing, it lost to JFK. Nominated for Best Special Effects Editing, it was the winner. Nominated for Best Visual Effects, it was the winner. And nominated for Best Cinematography, it lost to JFK again. So 6 nominations, 4 wins, the 2 losses, both to JFK.
A shit film that ruins the streak.
You may have noticed there. You may have noticed that cinematography is probably the most you could argue was a major award at the Oscars there. No acting, no directing, no writing, no best picture. It was purely tech awards is what it was nominated for. But yeah, it's all it was nominated for. 1992 MTV Movie Awards. No Razzies, by the way. I've just skipped over that. 8 nominations at the MTV Movie Awards. Very much an MTV movie.
Has to be.
Most.
This was Wayne's World 2 era.
It would be Wayne's World era, yes. Most desirable female, Linda Hamilton. She was the winner. Best action sequence, LA Freeway Chase, which I think is the one behind me.
Yeah.
But it could easily have been the helicopter one, but I might have mentioned helicopter in it, because that was more on a freeway than the, I don't know what they call the LA River stuff was, but it must be that. It was the winner. It won Best Action Sequence. Best Song, You Could Be Mine by Guns N' Roses. It lost, and this very much puts it in an era. It lost to Everything I Do It For You by Bryan Adams from Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. The bane of our 6, 7, 8, 4, 5-year-old lives back in those days, whenever it was. It was the soundtrack to about 6 months of our very young lives at the time. Best Villain. Robert Patrick lost Best Villain to Rebecca De Mornay in The Hand That Rocks the Cradle.
Never heard of it.
I'm not 100% sure. I've definitely heard of the film. I have not seen it, and I don't know.
Look at that sinister look behind Chris. How could that?
I know.
That's a villain right there.
Yeah. He lost.
I've seen that film. It's utter dog shit.
Well, there you go. Is she a good villain in it?
Yeah, she tries to steal
A baby.
somebody's
I imagine.
family or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's trying to kill the future.
Everyone's babies. Yeah. Best breakthrough performance, Edward Furlong.
Please
He
say
was the
Lost.
winner.
Fuck off.
Best male performance, Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was the winner. Best female performance, Linda Hamilton. She was the winner, doubling up on being best and most desirable. And best movie of 1992, it was the winner. Was Terminator 2 Judgment Day. 8 nominations and 6 wins it had at the MTV Movie Awards. 1992 Saturn Awards.
Just
The big
everything.
one.
Simple.
9 nominations at the Saturn
9
Awards.
9 wins.
Best makeup, which it won at the Oscars.
Nailed it.
Lost to Silence of the Lambs.
What?
And I'm like, what was the makeup at Silence of the Lambs? And I'm not even
fucking
sure what
mask.
the makeup. I guess when he chopped the guy's face off and put it on, is that the makeup? I don't know. Best special effects, it won. Best performance by a young actor, Andy. He won again, did Edward Furlong. Best supporting actor, Robert Patrick, best supporting actor. He lost to William Sadler. That name ring a bell?
He's
Bill
the
and Ted.
guy from Shawshank.
Bill and Ted.
Ah, Shawshank. But yes, Bill and Ted. He was the Grim Reaper in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey that year. That's what won him the Saturn Award.
I'll let him have that character because he's
Okay. Best actor, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Lost to Anthony Hopkins' Silence of the Lambs. Which, fair, okay. However, it's well documented. Anthony Hopkins is in about
like
9
5
minutes
lines.
of the Silence of the
Okay.
Lambs. Yeah, it's barely in the film. Best actress, Linda Hamilton. She was the winner. Best writing, Lost to Silence of the Lambs. Best director, James Cameron. He was the winner. And best science fiction film, of course, Terminator 2 Judgment Day in 1992 was the winner of that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, only 5 of 9 at the Saturn
Up
Awards.
at the Sarns.
More than half, though.
Exactly. And across those 3 award ceremonies, the big ones, as we call them, the Oscars, the MTVs, and the Saturns, a lot of wins from a lot of nominations. Any other significant award wins, it won 2 BAFTAs, both sound and visual effects, so technical awards for them. They don't respect it as much as we, the Saturn's awards, do. Synopsis for Terminator 2 by Thesaurus Nick. We're on a streak.
He's on a streak.
We're on a streak with Nick. He likes our
Strap it in.
picks.
This will be
Right.
a long one.
It's not that long. I thought it was going to be paragraphs, but it's actually reasonable. In 1995, one long decade after the Terminator's failed assassination mission in The Terminator, a now 10-year-old John Connor finds himself in foster care after the imprisonment of his mother, Sarah, at a mental institution. To prevent John from changing the course of history and becoming the lead of the human resistance army, the self-aware computer system Skynet sends another cybernetic assassin, this time a nearly indestructible shape-shifting killer. Now, against the backdrop of an imminent nuclear Armageddon, 2 unstoppable cyborgs, the antiquated but lethal T-800 and the far superior liquid metal model T-1000 are after the same vulnerable target. Can Sarah and John avert the coming Judgment Day? Always gets the thing in there. This is where I'll
He's
mention
not a
this.
10-year-old to start off with. I can't get across that far, but
Yes. Oh, we're aware.
Yeah.
He'll come
Definitely
up.
not a 10-year-old. So my question is, the T-800,
Yes.
the Terminator, Arnold, introduced himself as a T-100 or a T-101 model in this film.
Yes.
So,
Cyberdyne System Model 101.
Yes.
right, but he is a T-800.
He's a T.
So
Yes.
why is he just a T-1000, but Arnold's got all these different code names? It doesn't make sense. They need to get that straight. They should have had him at a better number and stuck with it, I think, rather than these just 2 different.
T1, T2.
Yes, exactly. T2 would have done, yeah. Who picked
3. Carry on.
the T1's? No, she's TX, is she not? I think she's
Yeah, she's a
the
No,
Terminator
the
X.
T1 is the kind of one that is like the wee tank that rolls
Yeah, he's
along.
a tank.
Oh,
And
right,
has
fair
something
enough.
like that.
In fairness, it's been a long time since I've seen it. So, yes, who picked Andy 1 year before I was planning to pick it? It was my Christmas movie next year now, roughly. Andy, why have you picked Terminator 2?
Because it was my Christmas film, which we'll get into because it is heavily Christmas, as we can all discuss later on. And also, I really wanted to do Robert Patrick because it was either this or the Faculty, and Faculty wasn't really Christmassy, whereas this was.
I'm not sure I've seen the
Christmas, to be
Faculty.
honest.
This is Christmas.
Have we seen it before, Chris?
Absolutely
I'm
I've seen
saying
it four. I've seen it 4 times in the last month. So yeah.
Well, okay, definitely. You probably got me beaten then. I think it's in my top 3 most seen ever films. I think.
I think I'm
one's
up there.
certainly up.
Like maybe Lord of the Rings would probably eke that out, but
Really? Okay.
I've seen a version of this that I've never seen in my life, which we'll get into.
Oh,
Which brings me very quickly onto that. If you'd hold on by answering
Yes.
which channel would we find it on?
Every channel,
Ah.
BBC, ITV.
I think every
12,
channel.
They're all showing
They've all had a go at it.
Yeah.
my very
Which
first
brings me-
viewing was edited because there was bits when I got the DVD I'd never seen before as well.
Right. Okay.
Oh,
Well,
I've
that's
definitely
brilliant.
seen like different versions of this, like TV, DVD,
Mhm.
and get on to like obviously I've seen a version I've never seen, but 4K on this bad boy is unbelievable. It's
I
like,
remember them bringing out a cinema version that was the
Yeah.
first ever kind of 4K version.
I'm just like, how does this 1992, 1991? I was like, how does it look so good? I watched The Matrix, it looks shit compared to this.
Yeah. Which version did we watch first of all? Right, I watched the special edition, which was the one that's on Sky Cinema, was just the special edition. I have found 3 standard versions, does that make sense? There's 3 versions that you get. So you can maybe tell me what you did. Now, this is, if you saw this, you saw that version, okay? So did you see the T-1000 searching John Connor's room, and then
First time ever.
the alternate ending
Old
with
Connor.
Sarah Connor and her
Yes.
granddaughter?
Yes.
This is
Right.
the first time I've ever seen that, and it blew my mind.
Yep.
I
Me
can't
too.
say I've ever seen it. So
Yeah,
I was like,
I knew about the T-1000 because Robert Patrick's told me about like scenes that were cut out. So he told me about the reason why. We'll get on to later on. I had never seen that at all until this time. I was like, it must be a special feature. It's in that, and then I remembered like when Genesis came out. It's like, well, if that came out, but then they can't have the T like what happened in T2 happen in the special edition. I'm like, what? It could just it's because she's old and it doesn't make sense now.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, presumably the grandmother scene was new to you, Chris, by your reaction.
yeah, like him doing the thing in the bedroom as well. I could play my phone. This is the kind of film I could just play my phone. I know exactly what's happening, and I could hear some music like, "What the fuck's happening?" And he's going like that around the bedroom. I'm like,
Yeah.
like, phone's gone down. What is happening here?
But yeah,
And I watched the film, like, didn't take my eyes off it because I was like,
But
what
yeah,
else am I missing?
I'd watched that, and then it was like maybe 5 minutes after that scene. It's just like suddenly you see him walk outside to the dog kennel and pick up the dog collar. And I was like, "What the? That now all
I've
makes
seen
sense."
that bit.
I've never
Good
seen that bit.
segue. So the special edition,
I don't
which is
see
the one
that.
I watched this time, I think this is the only one I've seen, or at least the only one
Right.
it's the one I'm familiar with, is special. Which in the special edition, you don't get these in the theatrical, and you don't get what I've just said to you about the other scene. So the orderly's forcing Sarah to take her medicine.
Yes.
That doesn't
I've always
appear
seen
in
that
any
bit.
in the
I've
theatrical.
always seen that bit.
The T-1000 dog scene, that's in the special edition, but
not
not
remember
I've
that.
theatrical.
always seen that bit as well.
Terminator brain surgery, where they turn the chip so that you can start learning, basically, or whatever that scene was about. That's not in the theatrical version.
I've seen
I've
that.
seen that bit as well.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Mr. and Mrs. Dyson having a bit of a chat before Sarah attacks them.
Yeah.
That's only in the special edition. Half of the John and Terminator scenes in Mexico are not in the theatrical
Smiling and
one.
stuff like
The
that.
smiling scene, which
Yeah.
to me is one of the famous scenes.
I don't even remember
Is-
that.
Best version I've ever
No?
seen.
I don't even remember
Uh,
that bit.
And then the
I've seen
T1,
some kind of hybrid version.
you must have done the T-1000 struggling with its form. So like when his hand goes
Yes.
stripy and his feet becomes the floor,
Yeah, I
that's not in the
remember-
theatrical version.
I
either.
remember that. So I don't
Right.
know what scene.
See, I've
I've
always
got
seen
some
that as
weird
well.
fucked up version of this film.
And then you get the theatrical version, which has nothing I've mentioned. But also something significant is Michael Biehn is not in the theatrical version.
Yeah.
That flashback dream scene that I have seen
Yeah.
every time I've seen this film,
Yes.
I've seen Michael Biehn. That is not in the theatrical version. So randomly, madly.
Yeah. There's been bits in both of that. Like I said, I didn't see the dog collar, but I knew about him touching things, but never seen it. But yeah, these two were new, and old grandma was brand new to me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
never
And
Still
saw
smiling
myself
Arnie,
after
I
seeing
don't
that.
remember Arnie smiling. That was new
No,
to me.
I remember that. But I've got my 4 film that I showed off during Terminator. That I've got the Terminator 2 version, and must be the special edition. Right. Any more debates about that? Stuff will turn up maybe that we've never seen before or don't remember. Point 2, the high points on the podcast. Andy, you pick, so why don't you start us off?
It's a pretty strong start. I was like, this is how a kind of film should start. Kind of, it's not too much like obviously there's been a first one. Normally when you get like a second sequel, it's like, well, this happened and this happened and this happened. It's like, nah, they're kind of like to the point. You don't really need to watch the first one really.
No, it's a quick kind of here's what's happening. Yeah.
As the first one with the Future War, but they just upped it like 10 times better.
It's absolutely like all right, this is the future. And like I said, it looks so much better. You can see it's like right, finally,
Infinitely better.
technology's caught up with me. I can do some cool stuff now.
I felt like the first scene of this film directly spoke to me after having listened to the first podcast, because the first thing in the entire film you see is a non-hilarious robot foot squashing a human skull, as if to say, right, we've got it right this time. Look how strong and powerful that foot looks. Stop laughing at the one in the first one. Then the second thing is a chase with a not obvious dummy manning a turret, and then it goes over. Like the first one I was laughing at, this guy just standing poked out the top of the car, and then it's literal righting of wrongs from the first film, and then the theme song comes in, and it's an improvement over the first film as well. Like, this is the proper Terminator theme song.
Like, everything's the same. It's just better.
And you can see they've done that. But then, like, my first actual high point, other than it's a strong start, is them coming in like straight away. Fucking hell, here's a Terminator. And it's like, it looks like some of this like lightning that, but it's like watching it this time in like full like HD 4K. It's like it's actually touching bits. Like lightning always looks shit no matter what you do with special effects. But the dome, when it comes in and then just disappears, and you just see like I never noticed it gets like duller all the way through the scene. Like the hot ground, it's molten.
Right, yeah.
I've never noticed how it dulls. Like that's pretty cool. And then about 30 seconds later, bang! Here's another Terminator. It's just like, and if you don't know the film, it's like, two of them. Which one's the big one? Is one a human, one not? Like, what's going on? And it's well played out. We all know what a twist.
My high point here is the time travel teleporting is again much better than the original.
Yes.
And even like the dome, like you say, it looks a bit
clunky.
weird.
Yes.
But I'm like, can you tell me how that's not how it looks? Like that's how it looks. But the only thing it's missing is there's no bin man going, what the hell, goddamn son of a... And they should have had that in the background. I think might have changed it. But yes, and you're perfectly... One of the things that is so great about this film is it's a sequel. There's so many echoes. I picked up on quite a few things that happen in both films. I noticed it more this time because it might be the closest I've ever watched them together, is this. But also, like, at a point during the film, I'm like, this is now the first point in the film that you don't know Robert Patrick is the good guy, or you know that he's not the good guy, and the Terminator is a different Terminator, basically. So it's so good at hiding that for the first chunk of the film.
I watched Terminator 2 before I watched Terminator, so I never knew Arnie was a bad guy in the first film.
Yeah, I think
I could be. I might have done as well. Yeah. I think because I think about Terminator 2 would be huge in 1991, therefore probably coming to home videos and in houses 93-ish sort of stuff, 92, 93. Formative ages for us around this time, so it was a gigantic thing that's happening. So need to see this film. The bar fight scene, are we there? That's my high point.
Yes.
Yeah. Just everything that Arnie does there, just walking in bollock naked. Just
I need your boots, your clothes, and your motorcycle.
Just how everybody reacts as well. Like
I could recite that whole thing word for word.
Yeah.
And
throwing the guy in the grill is a good bit. I love the guy going.
That's how he's got all his burnt bits in his jacket and stuff like that and stuff.
Yeah. Small high point this time is him. Just the way he grabs the shotgun out of, like, I guess, the bar owner's hand. Just the way he does it and takes sunglasses. I'm just like, it's that at that point when he just grabs the shotgun, I'm like, right, he's best badass. I'll type that in right now.
It's the guy there where he's standing with he's like hands up. I absolutely shits himself. The guy just grabs sunglasses.
Yeah. But I personally like Bad to the Bone coming in at this point.
Yes.
Because it signifies that there will be a sense of humor in this one. The first film didn't have a sense of humor. Like, nothing funny happened in that film. It wasn't about entertainment. It was about, here's the story. This is a bit more MTV generation. Oh, look, here's Bad to the Bone coming in because, look, he's so bad and all that sort of stuff. So, yes, great scene. And it's probably... I don't know if it's not quite the I'll be back scene from this film, but
no, it's up there because it was on that scene again, that game that we played.
Yeah, exactly.
That scene that was on it.
And that's why Arnie. I need your boots, your clothes, and your motorcycle is like one of the lines from this one specifically. Who's next for a high point?
There's obviously a couple bits of Terminators have been to visit John and all. Well, their parent is foster parents, fucking hell. But the Galleria, like I said, I wish I could watch this bit for the first time ever, not knowing who was a good guy, who was a bad guy, who's getting to him first, and
like even knowing it is still a great scene, just the slow motion. Like he's like
there's something extra badass about him taking the shotgun out of the box of roses as well. And I'm like,
it's not subtle.
Like you also think because he can smile on this one,
Yeah.
You think he's a good guy because you're like, oh, he's a good-looking boy. Yeah, I just want to ask him a few questions. He's like, he's not a bad guy. He's a good guy.
Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
policeman.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
That's very
that's
good.
the beauty of it. Is the genius. It's like he's a policeman. He's trying to find him before the other Terminator finds him. That Terminator we know from the first one kills people, and just the scene and it's just like get down, and he's like bang, and it's just like Terminator fight, which is all we've ever wanted. We get it,
And then that's the
then we just
the
have a
reveal
Robert
of what the
Patrick scene.
T1000 is. Yeah.
And every part of that is just that's like this is where Robert Patrick comes into his own, because like obviously he fires a gun without blinking, which he genuinely wanted to learn, and it's just like amazing. Like the dedication on acting is like I'll go to a gun range for 3 weeks and practice shooting a gun without blinking just to make it look a bit cooler. Because
I probably still couldn't do it after that.
Yeah,
I don't
but
think.
it's the same dedication that we praised Arnie for doing with the first one. Obviously, he was meant to be Kyle Reese, but then
Yeah.
like, no, you want to do this, and he's like Robert Patrick came in and went, I want to play this. This is how I'm playing it, and James Cameron was like, all right. Because even like the next bit, the run, the iconic run where he is outpacing that motorbike, which apparently was about 10 weeks. Robert Patrick learned to run full pelt in a weird way as well, not like a normal running.
Yeah, it has to look strange. Yeah.
But yeah, he
That's
wanted
when
to
you
make it
breathe out
run
his
weird.
nose so he didn't look out a puff.
Yeah, and yeah, he did it so that he could just keep thinging, doesn't breathe very much. It's like absolutely amazing dedication. And it's just when we go, yeah, this thing is unstoppable. Like we're fine.
I don't know if I want to. Did I put it in as a fun fact? I may have a fun fact, but it might be wise to discuss it here. About the casting of the T1000. Have you got any notes on that, or shall I discuss it here?
You can go for it.
Originally, I'm not saying casting is wrong necessarily, but more originally, what they wanted to do was have the T1000 take the shape of Michael Biehn, so that the switcheroo of who's the goodie and who's the baddie would be even more stunning. Because oh look, it's Kyle Reese. I thought he died, and the Terminator, but sort of because coming from the future, they could have come from when he's not dead in the future. Like it could be all that sort of stuff. But then they decided in the end, nah, that's probably really confusing. Let's make it look, let's make him look like something else instead. Because obviously you could take any image you wanted. I think it'd be so easy to catch Sarah Connor if it looked like Michael Biehn. They should have thought about the T1000. But yeah,
they did make the MacGuffin of he has to be able to touch things, like to turn into it. So you would have had to touch Michael Biehn at some stage to be able to do that.
I guess so, yeah. Did you do it with the photograph? Because could you have turned it in John Connor just by touching the photograph?
No, I think it's physical touch. You can turn into things he touches. So if he touches a foe, he touches turn into a foe.
It's not a high point, but I like that there's rules. I did like they introduced the rules of what he can and can't do. Carry on, Chris.
And later on, like the Asylumscape, and he puts his knife down her back. He could have turned into Sarah then and went after him. But I'm skipping ahead.
I think that's how he managed it later on. Yeah.
I thought it's because he stabbed her through the stomach.
It could have been either of them bits, I suppose.
Yeah, so Chris is skipping past possibly the best chase sequence in
that's what I was coming up to
Hollywood history, I would say, is the motorbikes in the LA River. That is just, I can't see these areas of this particular park of Los Angeles without thinking of Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
And what I noticed this time is, I always thought it as a low point that you've got this T1000 ultimate like killing machine, can't drive a truck very well. What I didn't realize, the whole reason why he is struggling is because he absolutely fucks the suspension when he drops off.
Right. Yeah.
So when he's banging into the walls and he looks like he's trying to steer it properly, it's because the suspension's all over there, like the wheels.
It's because they can't. It's undrivable, basically.
Yeah, it's pretty much undrivable. So he is doing his best, and it's just such a great scene where you've got like that bike is so high pitched and squealy, and it's like it's not going anywhere. You've got the truck just being a normal truck, and then you've just got the slow dulcet tone of Arnie just cruising in that bike.
Harley.
It's just such a great scene.
Do you know, like the Tom and Jerry, you've got the cat and the mouse and the dog. It always reminds me of that. You've got like Mouse of John with the cat of him, and then Big Arnie Terminator. There's a dog just powering after them.
Can I ask if you guys have got stunt doubles in low points? Because I'll leave it if you do.
No, there was only a couple.
This version is the first. They've changed that because on the DVD version, it's clearly obvious that it's some random guy picking them up.
One, I could be like, I knew it was bad, but I was like, wasn't that bad watching it in 4K. So I don't know if they've edited it a bit more.
They've Star Wars.
I fall on the side of I'd rather it be a stunt double that looks 99%, or sorry, a stunt double looks 85% like the actor than some weird CGI that looks 85% human. You know, like I'd rather it just be Oh, it could be. He's got sunglasses on. I'm quite far away. He's moving quite fast. That might not be Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'd rather that than the full-on CGI Arnie's face onto something, and it just looks really
I
uncanny.
think that's what they've done now in the newer version.
Right, okay.
'cause
But it's like the bit when he dropped off. It's like I thought like genuinely that looked like Arnie. Like he drops off on the bike. I was like, that's fucking
Exactly.
good. Like way better than I thought it was.
Yeah, you could mistake him for Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
And then the John Connor one was a bit iffy. There's one shot of him, and I'm like, you look nothing like John Connor, but I'd rather just be at a passing glimpse, and then you're off, and your hair is like this in front of your face. It's like, I'm happy. Rather than
long
clearly
hair makes me
CGI in his
laughable
face.
because it's clearly like a wig. It just doesn't move. It sticks
Yeah.
to him.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought I was falling on the side of I love 1991 real stunts with real stunt doubles rather than CGIing everything. I love it. Any more comments on the LA River chase or whatever it's called?
Later on, there's a comment coming up.
Right, okay, come back. Phone call to the foster parents is my next iPod.
Well done.
Yeah, yeah.
No. And then just even Arnie being smart, it's like, what's your dog name? And it's like, how's Woofy? It's like you don't expect that to come out of T800.
Was an idiot because if you talk, John says, "What's your dog called?" Oh, it's called Max. What's wrong with Wolfie? I went, could you not listen? He just said it's Max.
Dumbass.
Like, idiot. Exactly. And it took me
God.
like a few tries to figure out that. I was like, oh, okay, he's fooling the other Terminator.
Yeah. The one that gets me every time, I've seen this film a million times, and every time I'm like,
is it the milk?
No, is that the mum or is that the Terminator now? And then the dad comes in and I'm like, oh, wait. Is he not there yet? Or is that every time? Like, right, okay, that's what happens. It's every single time. I always think there's something that the mum says when she speaks. I'm like, oh, is that actually her? Is he going to come in and kill her? Like, it'll cut to John on the phone and it'll come back and she'll not be speaking anymore. And it's like, oh no, he's actually already the mum, which is really good. And then we get 10 Point Podcast favorite Xander Berkeley, who shows up for about a minute in everything that we ever do, getting stabbed right through the mouth and the back of the head into the cupboards, which pretty sensational. But yeah, it is a great scene. And like you say, everything that they do in the phone booth is great. Everything the mum and dad do at the house is great as well. And the whole
add on to the special edition, which is pretty much after this, is when you get the T1000 going out looking at the Max collar. It's like somebody's like, bastard, they're onto me.
Yeah.
Then he goes back in and does his touchy feely thing. And it's like, it's a weird scene out of context, but when you pick up everything, it's like, it's a fucking genius. And it also gets a big plot point, which is how the T1000 knows where Sarah Connor is, and obviously it's all the letters
because he used the computer screen. And it
right, okay.
Yeah, I always thought it was that, but it's like, oh no, all these letters that are dedicated from the asylum or wherever she is.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's how he knows. And then obviously you get the great asylum scene is pretty much where I'm at. Kind of jump a bit.
Yeah, the escape.
Small one before that. John and the Terminator meet the two thugs in the street.
God, you'd love that.
And John learns that he'll do everything he says. Just the bit where he's like, stand on one foot, and then basically forgets he's doing it, and he's goading the thugs, and he's like, put the foot down, put your foot down. It just cracked me up. And then he goes to kill him, he stops him, and then John's like, put the gun down. No, what are you going to put the gun? And you just see Arnold in the background just bending over and popping the gun on the ground. So it's very nicely, gently putting the gun down. So I love literal things like that, are so funny. So yeah, if you want to go to the state penitentiary mental hospital,
I'll encompass all of it. It's just like, it's such a well done scene where this is where you get to see Sarah Connor actually being a badass, because she's been pretty silent all the way through, but she's been planning it. She pretty much executes her own escape, which is something you always think, oh, she's going to come in, it's going to rip the door open or whatever. She's basically free up until a point. And then it's just like, then you got the T1000 with our boys from Gremlins back.
Yeah.
The lads, Ron, is it Don and Dan?
I was just like, that's such well. Oh yeah, they're the twins from the Gremlins. I was like, so well done. Like, can't fault it. But just even that, once again, Robert Patrick's in there being creepy as fuck. Just so the T1000 might not be the most efficient killing, but he is sinister when he's doing things. He's methodical. He's slow paced. He's just evil.
On a scale of easy to kill to unkillable, he's pretty unkillable. The T1000, like, it's a very specific way you have to kill him.
And he's not in a rush. He's like, yeah, I'll get there. It's like we all know he can fucking bolt it. It's like, why didn't you just fucking bolt in there? He's like, no, I'm going to play this. I'm going to manipulate everybody. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. It's just I love the whole thing.
Do you think Sarah Connor makes it out on her own alive? Because she gets to the lift, but the T1000's closing in. So
I reckon she would have got out. And I think that's
Nah.
the kind of point that she would have pretty much got out if Arnie.
I think if she got into the elevator, he would have opened it, and that's it. She's done.
I think the lift really would slow her down, and he'd get some way of getting her on the ground floor, or because when she's in the car park, what's she doing? Hot wiring a car before he gets to it. Like, how is she getting out? So I think it was in her best interest that they appeared. Yeah, literally all I've got next to the hospital escape is escape/breakout, because it is 50-50. Engrossing even after 50 different viewings of this film. It's like I need to sit in every single bit of it.
Nails that creepy orderly though. He absolutely deserves it.
Yeah.
Like, you actually feel sorry for it. It's like,
every
you get justice.
time.
You're like, yes, justice. And then then you get the Arnie scene. It's like, and she's freaking out. It's like, because you would, because she's just faced him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Then she runs, and then suddenly, and then you get another chase scene. Robert Patrick absolutely like nailing it, running.
I always forget that's one of the legendary ones for me through the Simpsons' eyes is this scene, but I've seen it more like in the Simpsons than anything. Yeah, exactly. It's just, I always forget it comes straight after the hospital with him going up the back of the car. I really enjoy John Connor like tossing away the last bit.
Is really that shaking because of the wind, or is that shaking because it's trying to get itself loose?
I'm not sure. I'm torn on that. I'm not sure. Yeah, but it's a good touch either way.
I've really noticed it now because it doesn't move, and then out of nowhere it starts shaking. And I'm like,
I think that's why he's a bit kind of apprehensive to touch it. Because like, what is it doing? Is it going to stab me? And he throws it away. Yeah, I quite like that. I'm up to Cyberdyne, and I'm doing the same thing at Cyberdyne now.
Really. I've skipped Mexico, skipped Dyson, but right when they're going to burn all the files and shit like that.
The Cyberdyne standoff, really.
This entire scene is absolutely
my high point.
Especially Arnie versus the LAPD. That's the best
brilliant.
bit.
He's promised he won't kill anybody, and he's like, how are you not going to kill anybody with a grenade launcher and a minigun?
The minigun where he empties the minigun out into the area, doesn't hit a single person. And then
this is another low point for me, by the way. For years, I genuinely thought it was called a damn minigun. Like a damn minigun. Because that's a damn minigun. And I thought, anytime someone mentioned the word minigun, I was like, actually, it's a damn minigun.
Oh, begins with a capital D, I think I find it. But yeah, him when he's wait here, I'll be back, and it goes round just casually, just shoots everybody in the shin basically as he wanders around. I'm going to sneeze, so carry on.
It's so funny. It's like he's promised not to kill anybody, but I wonder, like in another scene where, like, you know, the aftermath is like maybe one of them actually did,
lying in hospital can't move. He shot me in my spine.
Maybe one of them didn't have insurance and he had like, you know, like the bled out and that. Like he can't, like, I know it comes up when he screams 0 casualties. It's like you definitely casualtied some people. They're going to casualty.
If nobody comes to help them, they might still be a casualty. Yeah,
they're bleeding out. They're dead.
Minor high point for me in this scene is I just really enjoyed the pop on like the tear gas grenade launcher. Just like, boop.
I loved it with the one where the guy's running away and he just nails the guy in the back with it.
Yeah.
And then oh my god, it hurts.
This is another echo of the original where I'll be back and then he drives the truck into the building like he does in the first one. Is another echo, which I think I've probably missed that. I don't think I've ever connected those two before, where he literally, I'll be back, and then drives a car into the building like in both films. I somehow never noticed that. But then the small part where the T-1000 is riding a motorbike up a couple of floors for some reason, just so he can jump it out to commandeer a helicopter.
Like I said, he's a proper killing machine, but he's weirdly methodical and he knows what he wants to do.
He's looked at the whole scene. It's like, right, my best chance, if they're not in there, is if my bike is on the 3rd floor with me. And then,
because the thing is, well, though, he can run rapid, he can run up them stairs probably quicker than he drove that motorbike.
Absolutely, yeah. He could have turned into a liquid and like sucked up the wall or something like that.
I was kind of wondering, could you do like a Mr. Fantastic? Just go.
I feel like this is the problem with the T-1000 is it's a bit egotistical. It's like, I'm gonna make this look cool. Nobody will see it, but for the records of time, I will look badass doing this.
I'll know.
It seems like that's the design flaw of the T-1000. Just he's a bit of an ego.
Shall we just condense the rest of the film into the one high point here, basically? Because I've got the highway chase is good. Carry on, Chris.
I was like literally the highway chase that leads into the steel mill is just
echoes of the last one again.
Yeah,
exactly.
Changed enough. It makes it his own.
It's the same but different. Yeah.
The iconic Arnie thumb, like what scene?
I don't get the thumb necessarily. Chris made a noise as if he's got to talk about it in low points, but I don't necessarily get why he has to be like thumbs up as he goes into the molten.
What else are you going to do if you're fucking melted?
He just could have gone in.
Where him and John are in the Mexico and they're playing about he teaching them how to give the thumbs up.
Thumbs up, high fives.
Perfect. That's
Yeah.
all I need to thank you, Chris. That's the answer.
I mean, what else
Take
do you want
that.
Ash to do that when he's going down the chain?
Yeah.
do.
I hate yous. You killed me.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't self-terminate, you bastards.
Yeah.
I never noticed in the helicopter. My boy's got like a third arm stuck at his chest, controlling the helicopter as he's reloading his gun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, that's good. The freezing T1000 I really like. The melting has its problems, but the turning on with the liquid nitrogen, liquid nitrogen, and him being frozen, it looks really good, and then him being shattered and even come back together.
Again, imagine stealing a tanker full of liquid nitrogen.
It's probably coming out
Bad
of
luck.
plans.
It's one weakness.
Well, I'll maybe try and remember that later on. So the tanker, I've got a minor low point to do with that. Any more high points? I think we could probably pick at little details for the rest of the podcast.
Move on. Move on. Move on.
Oh, it's literally just the one fight when he gets smashed against the wall and he goes and changes from
changes his face to the front.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah. Awesome. Point 3. The low points, the worst bits and things about Terminator 2.
Can I just do one all-encompassing one straight away?
Go for it. Usually
Every single thing that comes out of Edward Furlong's mouth. Because, this is going to sound horrible, but when I watched this, and this was before it was cool to be transgender and stuff like that, 100% thought he was a girl. Right? I genuinely was watching this as a kid. I thought, that's a girl. It's like one of them tomboys that kids talked about back in our day. Because every single thing that comes out of his mouth sounds like a whiny little 5-year-old girl.
Right,
okay. And it grinds me. I know you always hate like worst kids and that. Just everything he says. And like when he's mourning, it's just like, stop whining. You literally, and then his hair coming down, like little part, and he's like, could be a girl for all I know. I mean, don't get me wrong, Edward Furlong doesn't look like the most handsome girls nowadays, but on that one, weird tomboy looking person with weird hair, I just didn't get it back in 1991.
I think it looks pretty cool, in fairness. I wish I was as cool as John Connor when I was 10 or whatever it is.
I genuinely thought I thought it was a girl dressed as a boy. That was his ginger mate and stuff like that, and just the voice doesn't match the face. I don't know what it is.
I don't know again what if you got in the way of trivia, but Edward Furlong, between the first scene and the last scene he filmed in this film, his voice broke and he grew about 3 inches in height. So basically, they had to go back and change the pitch of his voice in most scenes so that it matched.
And I think that's the problem. You can really fucking tell. I mean,
and a lot of his scenes are really badly ADR'd as well. Like you can tell that it doesn't quite fit what he's saying.
Yeah. So there's that issue with him, and then the ultimate issue is he's not 10-year-old.
Oh, clearly not. Ever at any point.
He's supposed to be like 13. At least.
It feels like exactly. Yeah, he's
13, like he should be like 18 or whatever. Like he's got a motorbike.
That's a bit old.
But yeah,
never 10 years old.
10 to 13
I don't know
year old, whatever the age is meant to be is wrong. Whatever it is.
Why didn't they make him like, I don't know, 14 or something like that, and just push back Judgment Day a couple of years? Like how?
Well, I think Judgment Day is still that time in the first one, and it's basically
but they could be like, because of what happened in the first one, they changed it. And that's what happens later on, obviously. Yes. Okay, but yes, Edward Furlong not great. I can't put
my low point is the dream sequences. They just slow the film down too much for me. I could have done without them. Especially the same one repeated over again.
Well, we don't get the exploding body into a skeleton in the first one.
I'd watch that.
I've never seen that one in as much detail before.
Really?
Actually,
okay.
I've seen that. That's famous.
That's classic. And I like Kyle Reese showing up. I like that.
I like that.
So. I like seeing him, but
so you like so you like stream sequences.
All the stream sequences are actually all right.
Yeah,
you're right though.
It's nice to see him again, but it slows it down too much for me.
Personally, slows it down for me is Mexico.
Oh, we'll get there. We'll get there. Definitely. That's one of mine. In fact, let's hold off on Mexico and we'll work our way through a bit, because I want to go with, short of killing John Connor with his time travel portal itself, the T-1000 couldn't have wished for a better start to the film, for the proceedings. Yeah. He arrives, there's no witnesses to him arriving, he doesn't have to go into a pub naked and all that sort of stuff. There's a police car literally right there.
With a nice computer system.
With a computer system that not only has John Connor on it, but tells this is literally where John Connor lives.
Yep.
But he waits not just long enough for John to not be there the next day, but long enough for the Terminator to already have been to the house and found out that he's not there either. What the hell was the T-1000 doing for 12 hours or whatever?
Egotistic. He was trying to be cool. He was like, I'm going to be casually late to my appointments.
So this is echoes of the first one as well, because in the first one, we picked
Yes.
up on Kyle Reese appears in the middle of the night.
For
A day passes, and then at night time he starts doing stuff. It's like, what the hell is he doing? At least he might have to sleep. He might have to
Maybe-
eat. He might be scared of the daylight.
Time travel lag.
Maybe.
He's going to reboot some systems.
But it's inexcusable for the T-1000 to have not got there before Arnold Schwarzenegger got there. Like, that is an inexcusable. He should be there. Like, when is it allowed to like deliver things? Like 7 a.m., 7:30 or something. The earliest you could possibly knock on someone's door is when
Maybe he was doing police work.
Maybe he went and did a couple of jobs.
Yeah, he's like, oh damn, that's my car number. I'd better answer it.
Yeah.
Like someone's tail light
Suspicious.
was out. Yeah.
Maybe that's what. Maybe it is. That's what happened in what do you call it? Last Action Hero in Wayne's World. He was pulling over the Wayne's World guys.
Actually, the scenes. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
that
Have you
was-
seen
that's
this
what he
boy?
did. Yeah.
This photograph that I haven't got yet. Yeah. How did Sarah think that playing nice in the meeting with Silberman was going to work? Because presumably earlier that day,
Yeah,
she
she's
had to
wrong.
be forced fed her medication, like that day. Because this is all happening in between the Terminator and T-1000 looking for John. Is she gets forced fed a medication because she was being bad, and then the meeting happens. But a week ago, she stabbed him in the knee with her pen. And then she's like, oh, I'm playing nice. You told me that if I was 6 months good behavior, I'd be like, you stabbed him last week.
Haven't been good
Here's
for days.
We
Yeah.
lapse. We made
Yeah.
a huge lapse.
Terrible planning by Sarah there. Any other low points that are prior to Mexico? Because I've got a big Mexico.
I'm all Mexico.
Oh, I'm after Mexico.
So just before Mexico, it's a scene that you guys may not have seen before. The one where we're taking the CPU or doing something with the CPU in.
That's it.
No,
I've seen it before,
Yeah.
but is that purely just to have another echo of the first one? Like, what was the point in that scene? Because all that was achieved is you take the thing out and do something to it, and now I can learn or whatever it was.
He
which
switched the switch like you went in an SD card. You write only.
Yeah.
So he just that's what he did. Flicked the little switch.
But could like that scene? They could just have had him be like that anyway. Like as an option, they could already. It could have come like that Terminator, like how you get the.
John Connor in the future knew about it in Cyberdyne Solutions, like the,
Right,
the
fair
program.
You said they send everybody to as read only.
But
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, no, because that.
But then he doesn't work for.
Because he had to John would have had to reprogram. him
Yeah,
somehow.
they're the
Yeah.
resistance. Yeah.
Yeah.
So why don't you just? Well, I'll leave that on. Like it'll help.
It might help him in the future. Well, the past.
So yeah, I think it's purely they're just looking at. We need to have a way from like to do surgery again, like we did in the first one. Oh, we'll do this.
And not make
That's
it
what I
look
was
like,
thinking.
clunky.
My little low point here is Sarah. Like, she purposely misses that. But what if she actually
fucking
just
close.
crushed it?
Yeah,
And
it
then
was.
she's
Oh,
like, oh, absolutely, I just ruined this.
Yeah.
Oh,
it
okay,
was,
we're
It
dead.
was dangerously close. She was playing a game right there.
I'm sorry that you very smartly 40 years from now sent us wrote back to help us, but I've just screwed the whole thing up for us by
Yeah, my
accident.
bad.
Apologies, John. The whole world's doomed.
Yeah.
Mexico
Yep.
comments.
It was
Doesn't
it
bother
wasn't
me
really
that much.
needed. Like it kind of shows that she was prepping and being a bit of a prep badass. But there was implied that they've moved before, so they're moving all their mini guns and stuff like that each time because there's a lot of guns there.
Yeah,
And also, why does she need that many guns?
exactly. Like,
Too
where's
many.
her army she's built?
Yeah,
It's
a few
like a
Mexicans.
family. Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I would have loved it if they turned up at the kind of scene where they're all at Cyberdyne Solutions and all these Mexicans
Yeah.
are helping the T-1000, T-800,
Whatever his code is. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
T1.
It grinds to a halt here. There's 2 or 3 funny bits. The whole point seems to be so that Sarah learns, he's a better father for John than
Yes.
anybody else could
It
be. It's
drags a
like-
bit.
and again, I feel like, the first one ended in Mexico, so we need to go back to Mexico again.
what
It also
it
feels
doesn't-
daft that they drove all the way to Mexico, just turn around and literally go back to where they were. It seems
Yeah,
a bit daft.
But what it
yeah.
does achieve is at this point in the film, because it's like an extra 20 minutes I've not seen, I was like, don't say the T-1000 in like 45 minutes. What's he doing?
Exactly, yeah.
Don't get me started on that. It
And it-
annoys me that he is not in like an hour of that
Yeah,
film.
he just disappears, and then the next time we see him, he's just cruising on his motorbike up a staircase. I was like, all right, he's back. Here he is.
To me, the iconic image of the T-1000 is fully motorbike copped.
Yes.
Yep.
And it's weird how little he is motorbike cop in this film. It's
Yeah.
weird how I associate those two things. I only have one really, really minor low point to go. And that
It's not really
is
a low point. I just feel sorry for Dyson.
Well, it's Dyson's in my low point too. I do feel sorry for him too. Carry on, Chris.
It's just like he's got to take the word of a 10-year-old kid, his crazy mum, and a roided up amputee that he is the
Austrian
cause
man.
of.
I mean, that's probably the part where I'm like, all right, maybe this is true because I've seen that hand before. Maybe you're from the future.
Yeah, I
I'll
suppose,
allow
yeah.
it.
But he's going to take the word that he is the cause of like
Yeah, I
a
mean,
future genocide
yeah, I'll be like,
and just ruin his life's work.
yeah, I'd be
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
I would be like, it does sound like me. I mean, I would do that. What proof do you have though?
It
Yeah.
sounds like something I would do.
Yeah, I was
but-
like, okay, I can't not say I wouldn't do that. It sounds like me. How bad
So we
is
get
it
to
really?
Cyberdyne Systems, and this is when my low point comes. Dyson has a key, and John Connor has a key. And who on earth in history has ever been like, okay, got the key? 1, 2, 3, go, and then they turn. Like, there's no way they would have that on the first try. It's not on 3. It's not on go. They don't actually say beforehand on 3 or on go. It's 1, 2, 3, go, and then they both turn. It's like, there's no way that they would sync up like that. And
if you're nitpicking on that point, my low point near the end as well is the silent alarm. Like, Dyson would have known that existed. Why didn't he just move them away? And
I thought
there
he
was
was
two
delaying
security
because you
guards
can't
on.
see him like slowly doing stuff.
Yeah,
And he's kind of looking around going, oh, yeah, it's working. And then he's just like taking his time.
it's
And he
almost
wanted
like,
to abort instantly.
yeah, it
no,
seems like
he's
almost he
full
was
team
trying to get
Connor,
away.
isn't he, Dyson? I don't think. At some point, I always think, is he trying to work? Is he trying to find a way out of this hostage situation? No, he's
he's
on
full
team
on.
Connor at this
Yeah.
point. Yeah.
It's such a
But I'm out
weird
of low
thing.
points. I have no other low
I've
points.
got one end, and it's the very, very new ending. I don't like it. I prefer
Right.
the Black Road.
Yes.
It kept
What happens in the new ending? I'm not actually sure what happens. So why don't you tell
It's
us
just
what
an old
happens?
Sarah Connor doing
Yeah,
what she
she's
did in the
sitting in
first
a
film,
park.
talking to a speaker.
Yeah, she's sitting at the
Right.
park where she sees all the kids dying and stuff like that. But then she sits and then her granddaughter runs up to her and talks about the old times and stuff like that. And,
Another echo of the original, I guess. It would
Yeah.
be.
and it's just like, I don't like it.
This new ending completely vetoes all
Yes.
subsequent sequels, plus James Cameron's own sequel to this film.
Yes.
It just makes
which-
no sense whatsoever.
I'll ask that question, come back to me in sequels after this one question I've got. Now, this is what always annoys me with time travel movies. Did the events of this film always happen? Or was there one go around where John Connor became human leader without lifelong training and then sent someone back? So, does John Connor, when he gets to age 10, does this always happen? That's why he's the leader of the resistance. Or on the first go, does he grow up somehow without getting lifelong training as this sort of, and then the Terminator appearing and all this disaster happening with the T-1000, so that's why he sends someone back? Or does when he hits 10, this always happens, even on the first go around?
I don't think it happens. I think this is like a new one, but you're right, because like obviously he was getting trained, he knows how to use guns, but if he stuck with the foster parents, then would he ever went back?
Yeah,
Yeah, it does raise questions.
I do wonder, because he leaves the foster parents purely because
Yes, they're dead.
they come back to start this
Yeah.
film off.
Yes.
So I do. It's one of these questions I always have.
mean,
I don't.
To be fair, I think he was going to leave at some stage anyway. He seemed like he didn't want his foster parents, so he might have went back to the Mexicans.
And Sarah would have got out eventually. She would have finally
It seems like
been
she
on
was
good
all,
behavior.
like 90% of the way there.
Yeah, just as long as Silberman wasn't there, she probably would have got out, I
Yes.
think. But yeah, I always do wonder, like, is it because no matter what, when he hits 10, does the Terminator come back in time? So that's why he becomes it. Because obviously he wouldn't have existed without Kyle Reese coming back. So technically, that always would have happened. Or was there one time where none of it happened and then Kyle Reese comes back? It's baffling.
Technically, this must be like the first time around. It's first time it's happened because he would have.
He would have existed. Yeah.
He would have thinking, and then he would have had to know, or I've got to make this Terminator. I've somehow got to break in. I've got to get that Terminator to send it back to myself.
Yeah. So this always
Time
happens.
loop paradox. Yeah.
Because yeah, Kyle Reese.
Paradox there.
Yeah.
Kyle Reese has to always have come back to father him. So he can't exist without Kyle Reese. So yeah.
Yeah, but if he destroys all the stuff, then the robots don't happen, then
Kyle Reese can't go back. Yeah,
Ah.
exactly.
so there is a a loop.
There
There really is a
Sorry.
paradox. Yeah. Sequels. Now, this is 2023, almost 2024. What are you supposed to watch next?
Technically Dark Fate.
Right,
Like
then
that's
do you
James
watch?
Cameron sequel.
Right, and then what? Terminator 3 after that, or does
I
Terminator
think
3 not
three
fit in? Or
works because 3 is technically a different timeline because they delayed it, and then what
Timelines is where I
happens
established.
happens, and then it goes into Terminator Salvation. But then the other one changes what actually happened, so then they two technically null and void. And then you got Terminator Genesis, which then just kind of changes everything, but still.
Everybody
Genesis
basically
is
ignores that.
the black sheep of the whole thing.
Yes.
It's
I think everyone just ignores it.
unnecessary.
Yeah. But yeah, I do know. I'm not entirely sure. Is it like you're supposed to watch them in order of release? Because, like you say,
I watched 3 the other night after watching this one, just because I wanted to
I
get the
still like
Terminator
3
one.
fits it. 3 does.
that
fit
makes
in after
sense.
this.
Exactly, yeah. But then they made Dark Fate, which I'm like, does that not negate what's happened, or is it
Yes.
supposed to happen because the other ones then happened and they send someone back because they happened? Like, it's confusing how they've done this. Anyway, we'll end up talking
Genesis
about
just ruins a whole lot of them.
it's comfortably the worst. Point 4 on the podcast is the stats that we cover every week. 25 ships, 18 F-bombs, and 54 explosions. Quite a lot of explosions. Deaths, 22. I'm not counting robot deaths. They don't count. However, if Sarah's nightmare counts, you can add another 3.5 million Los Angelians on if you want to.
I think it counts.
Okay, so 3.5 million and 22 in this film.
22.
Quotas, no cows, and I think I missed some goats in Mexico, but didn't go back to count them. But I'm sure there was some goats there. But I'm prepared to.
Fair.
I didn't see
Fair
any
enough.
goats.
No,
I thought neither, and I thought neither, but I thought, wait a minute, surely there was a goat there. It felt like a kind of
there was a
goaty
goat.
place.
And that's
Maybe it
stereotypical
wasn't.
Mexicans there.
Probably. Dead animal, dog,
Aye.
and snakes. There were loads and loads of dead snakes in Mexico. That was Is there a paedophile in the film? I am saying Dougie, the hospital orderly with the glasses.
Absolutely. Yeah.
100%.
In his hobbies when he's not at the hospital, that's what he gets up to, I reckon.
I think they might have young kids in that hospital. It might not just be exclusive to adults.
I don't think so. I don't think that's how they run
Yeah,
things.
it's an adult ward.
I think, you don't put criminalized crazy people in with criminalized
I don't
children.
see an issue with that.
Yeah. Definitely not. Trifecta: Tom Cruise, Taco Berry, or
Oh.
Sarah Connor trifecta.
Both.
Nobody got
What?
anything. The most motorcycle riding we have ever had in any film, but nobody got any girls or guys. at the end.
1000.
No, he didn't.
He got Sarah Connor at the end. He stabbed her.
We didn't get her. She was still alive, and also
Right,
that's
hold.
not what we mean.
He definitely got a hold.
No.
I think, I don't know, Arnie and Sarah Connor were, if a few years down the line, I think she would have been a little bit robotic.
Oh, definitely, yeah, definitely. However, they didn't.
T1000 got Sarah Connor. Got the girl.
He did.
Target was John, though.
I think the
Eh?
Terminator. Yeah, good point. Actually, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Terminator got Sarah Connor if anyone got them in the trifecta spirit, but then he
He-
died, so therefore
he
he doesn't
doesn't
get
run.
her. So
Yeah, well, he does
Good.
kind of run with his hands in the air like that.
actually, fair point. He didn't run in the film. Yeah, good
He
point. Yeah,
did.
lots of running. Also, when did he run? At what point did the Terminator run?
In the Pescadero, when he's running away from that one, he runs down the hallway into the elevator.
A little bit. It's a jog. It's not a run.
It's not a
I
run, though.
suppose. I suppose. Okay, that I would have counted that in another situation. Okay, Chris, I stand down. Did they say the thing? Terminator.
Yes.
Yes.
3 times, 14 minutes was the first. Did they say the thing? Judgment Day.
Yes.
Yes.
Twice, 2 minutes was the first one. Did they say the thing? Come with me if you want to live.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
In
they
the
did.
hospital.
59 minutes.
Mhm.
Did they say the thing? I'll be back.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, they
In
did.
Cyberdyne. He also said it in Spanish.
Yeah.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Hasta
1 hour
la vista.
54. Oh, is that what that means? I had
Yes.
no idea. That's my mind has now just been literally been blown on the podcast. Hasta la vista means I'll be back. Hilarious. All of the things. I don't know if they crop up in every single Terminator movie. The Come With Me
No.
If You Want to Live, I think does. I'm not sure, but I'll be back. I think that's a Schwarzenegger only, but I could be wrong. But yeah, everything present. Chris, any stats from you?
Yeah. The T-800 doesn't actually kill anybody, even before John forbids him from killing anybody.
Hmm.
He
good point.
kneecaps 8 cops / SWAT.
Yeah.
He throws 4 people through windows, which
He does. That's a
I think it's
common
going to kill
move, it is.
somebody. It's like going to get glass in your eyes and they're going to be
Yeah.
blind. So he's
Slice
ruined
the throat.
their life. And he smashes a couple of people into a wall, which I think is probably going to kill them. Like he's cracked some skulls. So Sarah's wrong when she says there's 215 bones in the human body. There's only 206.
Oh, really? I wonder what the extra ones were.
Penis.
set you up for that, didn't I? I really did.
And it's going to come up later on, but a fun fact, the guy in the Galleria who's taking pictures, he's the 1L19 cop from the first Terminator.
Ah,
Okay, right, I see. Ah, very good. I like it. Speaking of fun facts, Andy, do you have a fun fact?
I think I've told you the story sometime, but I don't think it was on podcast. But I once got full on T1000 at a convention once. So I was in one of the back rooms in my little ops room, and first thing I'm just standing there, and I absolutely got shitted up by somebody grabbing my leg
I mean,
because
scared.
Boba Fett was under the table, aka Daniel Logan.
Right,
And
okay.
I was like, what the fuck? Like, so I'm already swearing like a trooper because I don't like people shitting me up. So I've got fucking him grabbing my leg. I was like, the fuck are you doing under the table? I was like, I almost shit myself. And he's absolutely cackles. Oh, just having a bit like 5 minute nap. Just seeing you there, I thought it'd be funny. And I was like, fucking absolutely shit myself, you bell end. And he's like, oh, it's not going to be the best scare you've had all day. And I was like, what are you talking about? And I literally bump and then turn around, and Robert Patrick's face is on my shoulder. Proper, like, that face is behind Chris. And I was like, fucking hell, you bastards. So it's just me effing and blinding at a T1000 and Boba Fett. So that's a fun
I
fact.
see. Fun fact. Okay. Very good. I will counter your fun fact with a fun fact, which is, I don't know, we do unsung heroes, and I've got a nomination, but the unsung heroes of cinema are industrial light and magic. I think they come up in relation to every single great blockbuster film ever, especially around this era of the 90s and all that. Their computer graphics department grew from 6 people to 36 people to accommodate the work required for just the T1000 in this film. It cost $5.5 million to the studio. It took 8 months for them to do the work, and it ultimately amounted to 3.5 minutes of screen time for all the work they did. So there you go.
Nailed it.
That was my fun fact. 10-point podcast quiz time on point number 5. Andy, take over.
Right. Who wants to go first?
I guess me this time.
Right. This one is a quiz called John or Connor. So I'm going to give you a question, and you've got to basically tell me, well, it's either a John or a Connor, but I want full names, okay?
Right, okay, so it's not right.
So yeah, it's going to be a John or a Connor, but for a point, I want full names. So it's John or a Connor. So Chris is going first. Starred in Vacation Friends, wears jorts and a sweatband. Who is it? John Cena. Yes, correct. See? Simple rules.
What's Vacation Friends? What's that?
It's a banger of a film.
Vacation with Friends.
Right. Stargate Atlantis.
Oh, no.
The Purge TV show.
Oh.
And Star Trek Enterprise.
Uh-huh. Who connects these 3?
Yes. Give you a hint. It's either a John or a Connor.
A John or a Connor. I actually don't know.
Nope. Chris, do you want to try and take a stab?
John McGuinn? Is that his name?
Nope. It was Connor Trenier.
No.
I recognize the name.
Chris.
McGuinn that's in the Dog's Breakfast.
I can't hear Chris.
You're in someone's pocket, Chris, at the moment, I think.
Yeah.
I'm mumbling, that's why.
Ah, there we go.
Chris, you're one. Fallen Skies, Lock and Key, and shares a surname with a famous British camera store.
Fujifilm.
Kodak.
John Fujifilm.
Right, you went John Kodak. Bruce, what have you went for?
Well, I would say Connor Fujifilm.
You were close. It was Connor Jessup.
Jessup. Right, okay.
Right, Bruce.
Jessups.
Identity, High Fidelity, and Serendipity, or how do you say it?
Serendipity.
Ah, that's the one.
John Cusack.
It's John Cusack. Yes, correct. Chris. Battlefield Earth gets Saturday Night Fever.
Okay. Oh, is that the 2? Okay. John Travolta.
John Travolta, yes.
It's the middle one, not Get Shorty. I think you must have accidentally deleted a bit here. Okay.
Two there.
Battlefield Earth, Get Shorty, and then Saturday Night Fever, I think would be
Yes.
the three that was supposed to be. He was right anyway. So
where am I going? Bruce. Right, this is a wordy one. Bear with me. Born in 1580 in Glenfannin, the Scottish Highlands,
right.
is not allowed to fight.
Connor
on holy
MacLeod,
ground.
just let me have it. It's Connor
Yes,
MacLeod.
It's Connor MacLeod.
Yeah, so.
That's the only corner I've got in my head. By
As
the
soon as
way.
you said John or Connor, I was like, Connor MacLeod from Highlander.
Right, Chris. Wears a suit.
Ooh, that narrows it down.
Deals with the demons. You only get two in this one.
See, I was going to say John Wick, but the demons one fucked me
Oh.
over. Ah, John Constantine.
Yes, John Constantine.
Ah, very good, very good.
Just as I'm about to throw it over, he got it. Right.
I probably wouldn't have got that, to be honest.
Bruce. Born in Dublin, Ireland.
Right, okay.
Famous UFC featherweight champion.
Ah, okay. Is that Conor McGregor? You can stop there
Yes,
unless
Conor
there's
McGregor, yes. A couple more. Chris calls Chicago his sweet home. Actor and singer. Younger brother is Jim.
Connor McPunk. I don't know.
Not Conor McPunk. Bruce, do you want to take
CM
John
Punk,
to-
okay.
John Belushi.
Yes, John Belushi,
Ah.
yes it is. Bruce. Vocalist of Public Image Limited.
Mm-hmm.
Iconic ginger hair.
Uh-huh.
Better known as Johnny Rotten.
John Lydon.
Yes, John Lydon, yes. And Chris, I don't know if it's even, but I've got 11 questions, so fuck it.
I'll allow it.
It's just funny. 'cause
When
it's- Right. Chris. Romeo and Juliet. A sloth. It is. I was about to say bros.
Ah, sloth.
A sloth. Yes, so I don't know what the points are.
5-4 to me.
There
And
you go.
got to the
You
next
dominated.
question. I got some good steals, I think. That's
I guess you get a point for John Kodak because I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce his name.
Kodak. Very good. 0.6 on the podcast. Movies within movies. Chris, I have specific ones I've picked out here, so you can have the freedom to say who you want for the 10-point podcast universe.
Because it was getting a bit too long, I've changed it. I've only done people that have returned from this season only.
I'm kind of going notables is kind of where I've gone. So yeah,
I was going to do back-to-backs because it
There's
brings the
some.
twins.
Yeah.
My phone knows
Dan
I'm
and Don Stanton are back to back or
Arnold with a
something.
donkey.
Donkey.
Anywho, so obviously Arnold Schwarzenegger, Linda Hamilton, Michael Biehn, Earl Bowen, and William Fisher, who was the 1L19 guy.
Right, yeah,
All
he's the
returned.
writer. He is
Yeah.
the writer. That's why he's back. So
Randy Walker, who was a SWAT officer, was in Point Break as Combat Alley supervisor. Our favorite pedestrian, Brad Jakubowicz,
is he back? Is he?
he was in Inception as a pedestrian. Dean
God,
Norris.
it's a pedestrian in Inception and all the way back in Terminator 2. Bloody hell.
Oh, he's.
I reckon
Career
he's just
highlights.
this guy's just hijacked IMDb, I reckon. And he's like, I'll put myself in every film. I like."
Wikipedia himself.
Yeah.
Dean Norris, he was back-to-back films. He was Gremlins 2.
That has blown my
Amazing.
mind. He's a SWAT team guy in back-to-back Gremlins and Terminator 2. And I spotted him. He's got a mask on.
Yeah.
You can't see his face. And just the way
He's
he
got a lot of
says it, I'm
puffs of
like,
hair at the side.
that's Dean Norris again. And straight away, I'm like, bloody is.
The twins, Dan
Yep.
Stanton, who was, I'll do this other way around. Don Stanton, who was Lewis, was the actual guy.
Right.
He was in Gremlins 2 as Martin,
Mhm.
and his twin brother, Dan Stanton, who was the T-1000 Lewis, was in
Mhm.
Gremlins 2 as somebody called Lewis.
It always blew my
Yes.
mind. Back when I was a kid, I just thought these were like really good CGI effects, and it was just one
Mm.
guy in both of these films. Never put
Martin
them
and-
together.
Martin and Lewis is a reference to something way before my time that I can't quite put my finger on or explain, but they're called Martin and Lewis in Gremlins for a joke. It might be like being called Laurel and Hardy or something like
Right.
that. Like that's why they're called Martin and Lewis. So
And Xander Berkeley, who was Todd, was in Shanghai Noon as Van Cleef.
and he was in Fracture.
Oh.
So
But that was
yeah.
seasons ago. Let's try.
Well,
But it makes
Cut it down
him
a little
Hall of
bit.
Fame eligible as Xander
Yeah.
Berkeley for about 3 scenes combined, I think he's in. Is that you, Chris?
Aye.
The other
There's also
notables,
a lot of other ones.
Jeanette Goldstein, who I'd never noticed is
Aliens.
Vasquez from Aliens, is the foster mother. But I've also done Robert Patrick before, as he was in Last Action Hero.
Yeah,
So
he
I
unsung.
thought I was notable.
Yeah.
Have you recast the three of us into the film, Chris?
I did. I'm, as previously mentioned, Lewis, Don Stanton. I'm the security guard who gets a full house and then gets poked in the eye and killed because that's the kind of luck I have.
That's your
Yeah.
luck, is it? Right.
Yeah. Andy, I put you as Enrique because you're a guy who can get stuff.
Get stuff, yeah.
And Bruce, I put you as Miles Dyson,
Thank
the
you.
guy, the unsung hero.
No, he's the genocidal maniac.
If I learned that the 10 Point Podcast was the reason that the world ended in 40 years, I would sit with my hand on the trigger.
Sit and burn
Yeah. I recast us. I saw our main team of Terminator, Sarah, and John. I thought if the three of us from the podcast were in this team, who would fill what role? So I think if the three of us were to, in the way we make a podcast is how they go about this film. I think Andy's definitely the Terminator, as in he's the one who can do the things, but we need to basically point him in the direction to do it. I'm Sarah, as I'm the miserable one that just I know what needs to get done, and I'm going to do it. And then I'm sorry, Chris, but you're Edward Furlong. You're
I'll
John.
take that. I've got no problem with him.
Okay, so you're the one with the fancy hair. Yeah. So my questions, I didn't do my film references because I didn't reference very many, but I'll come to that in a second. Could this film have come out in 1995? Well, the film's set in 1995, so definitely it could have come out in 1995. Does this film reference The Wizard of Oz? The main villain melts to death,
yes.
I would say. So yes, I think it does. Dead Man Walking. I said Dougie, the paedophile from the hospital, was a goner. I'm not sure he gets killed. But really, personally, I know this film too well to say otherwise, because I know when you die and you die. Silberman somehow made it out. I don't know how he did it, but
Punches the third one as well.
who's in the wrong movie? I think the guy who plays future John Connor, because he has one scene.
Yeah, he's
and
weird, yeah.
every other film has a different John Connor.
Yes.
And you're right, this guy, there's something not right about him. Like
Yeah.
he's too much like, we need someone who looks like this, this, and this. And they took the best guy for that description, but doesn't actually fit everything else. Like it's bad casting, I think. And what trope in this movie that I like to see die? Why did you come and save me? That was the wrong thing to do, says one of the experienced hero is always like, you shouldn't have come to save me. It's like, well, obviously they are. You're helpful. You're the reason that all this is happening. So Sarah moaning about that. That happens a lot of times. The experienced hero. What's your trope, Chris?
The bad guy playing dead. Like the Terminator got shot and lies there for a second, so you think he's dead, and then comes back.
Right, okay. What about you, Andy?
Mine specifically, it happens a couple of times in this, but specifically, guards at security booths outside. Basically, this one only gets kneecapped, but usually they get injured or get killed straight away. If they're one of them little booths with a barrier, they're fucked. And I just feel sorry for them. They've got to die.
I might change mine to time travel paradoxes because it makes my brain hurt. Could do everything. Point 7 on the podcast is that one thing. Now try and narrow down Terminator 2 Judgment Day into the one thing.
T1000.
Chris is saying it's
I'm
all
T1000.
He's one of my nominations for it. The other two were Hasta La Vista, Baby, as in that's from this film. And like, if a person speaking Spanish was to say it, I'd immediately think of Terminator. Revolutionary special effects. It's not very specific, but T1000.
My other one is Arnie's shotgun spin.
Maybe.
Cool.
Which wrecked his finger. If you read the trivia on that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
T1000 for me, because even still to this day, I always forget that Arnie's a T800. If
Yeah.
you say Neo Terminator, I'm instantly going T1000.
Like, I would have said he was the Cyberdyne Systems model T101. That's what I would have described him as.
If you ask me a Terminator, it's always going to be the T1000. And it's Robert Patrick.
I've checked myself and I'm saying T800 as well, because I want to say T1000. So
yeah.
There's only one kind of Terminator now, it's a T1000.
Yeah.
To me, it's Yeah,
Yeah,
the T1000 versus
and
the
Arnie.
Terminator.
Yes.
Yeah, and Arnie. My notes is Arnie. Like
Yeah.
honestly, it's which goes very well because most of my nominations just say the word Arnie as well in this. So Chris, point 8 nominations for the 10-point podcast award, which I have started, but I'll probably still not be finished before January. But I have started the point. Chris, what are your
I
nominations?
put best actor as Robert Patrick. You can argue that.
I said Arnold Schwarzenegger. I said Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I'm kind of with Chris. Robert Patrick. He does a bit more.
Because in this one film, he is evil in everything he does, despite the fact he's a good guy as well. So
Yeah.
it's
Even
can't see him without
when he's
evil.
good, he's evil.
100%. I have not seen him
Yeah.
in anything else like before this film. This is an unknown guy to me. Arnie, everybody knew.
Yeah.
Even all the way through, but
Some things Arnie did said in this film. It's come up later on one of my things. He just didn't sit right with me. I put best supporting. I put Edward Furlong, but Andy's going to veto that.
I went Linda Hamilton.
I'd go Linda Hamilton.
Because you have to remember, Linda Hamilton she's playing the same person as she did in the first film,
But
and
badass.
yeah, think what she's doing now with the
She's
same
evolved.
character.
Yeah, she's grown.
Okay. Most underused is the T1000. There's like a period he's not in it at all.
I would
Okay.
say so.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Best badass, I put Arnie.
Yes.
Sweet. Unsung hero, Dyson.
Nope.
Like he
No.
helped destroy his life's work based on a wild theory.
Nope.
Have you got a nominee,
I
Andy?
would have me and Bruce match up here.
Go ahead.
Unsung hero is Edward Furlong's ginger friend.
Yeah, definitely. I've got the
Yes.
ginger kid. Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely saved the universe and our future.
That
He
what,
knew
10,
straight away-
20 second
Didn't even
difference.
register.
Yeah, absolutely
Yeah.
amazing. Like that is a friend, true
I'll
and
not
true.
accept that.
He literally saves unknowingly the future.
He's like, no, I don't know him, and then he makes it to John to get John to scram, whereas otherwise the T1000 walks straight up.
And then he stands right
And
in
it's
front of
like-
a cop and defends him as well. Like he doesn't know
Yeah.
he's Terminator. He's just
He got his head chopped off as well, actually,
He
because
could
he was gunning for him.
he didn't know,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm saying he is the best unsung
Yeah,
hero.
Definitely
I'll accept
unsung
that.
hero. Definitely.
Well, he just didn't even register to be honest. Best team, I put the Terminator in the corners.
Yeah, the team good guys or team Connor, whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Biggest bell end is the creepy orderly.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't even think of him, but yeah, it's him. I don't
Well,
think
I
it's Silberman. I think it's him.
No, I
so-
didn't-
He
or-
punts
you
her
lick
in the
somebody's
stomach.
face.
And yeah, then licks her face.
The licking of the face. Well, I mean, that's beyond bell end, I think, but it's him, I think,
Yeah.
anyway.
Best villain.
Yep.
Has to
Yeah.
be.
Speaking of the orderlies, the other guy, I was sure we'd done him before, but we haven't.
Me too.
He's got one of them faces that I'm
Yeah.
like, you're in stuff I've seen, but it's not any film we've done. I can't find him. No, that's not him either. Oh, is that him? Mark Christopher Lawrence? It could have been him, but yeah, we've not done him
Yeah.
before.
Best weapon is that damn minigun.
I'll give you it, but I like the boop, tear
I-
gas thing
I
he
like the
had.
tear gas canister. That would be
Oh,
my
because I've
favourite.
got both of them written down here, so I don't know.
The minigun looks cool and does more destruction. I'll go for the minigun.
Go for that then.
Blah, blah, blah. Best special effects, I put the Terminators.
T1000. If we had
I
narrow
think
it.
it probably is T1000. I've got it highlighted. It's hard to narrow it down, but yeah,
Special
T1000
effects
revolutionary.
See, I went for worst special effects as a T1000.
Oh, shut up.
No, worst special effects is either outside of the car after they've escaped the hospital and it looks like a 1920s background, or when Arnie comes off the top of the tanker into the factory where he looks like
Yes.
he's a cardboard cutout going,
Rolls.
wee! Like the only proper, I
To
don't
be
know,
fair,
CGI.
The green screen when the Terminator's got his like eyeballs, like he's using his infrared, and it's just the green screen when they're talking in the back of the car looks awful as well.
Right, yeah. But I don't know. I think for special effects, I think it's Arnie's jump off the truck into the
Yeah.
factory where it just looks abysmal.
Okay, I put best set. It's either LA 2029 or the Cyberdyne place.
I'd say Cyberdyne. It looks like they actually
Hmm.
built that and blew it up and
Blew up a whole
used it
building,
fully,
yeah.
Okay. Best cameo, Michael Bean.
Yeah, I was
Well done,
undecided, but I'd
Chris.
say that, yeah, but it's definitely a cameo.
Well done.
Best father figure is the Terminator.
Yeah, that's kind of the point, isn't it? Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess.
Best line, Hasta La Vista.
Yeah,
I don't think it
Baby.
had best line,
Hasta
but I
La
think it
Vista,
I'll
baby.
give you that. It's iconic.
probably is that, yeah.
Best animal, Max. May he rest in peace.
See, I very intentionally put Wolfie as the best animal to see if you would notice, but you've nominated it. So yes, Max is the best animal.
Blah, 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 blah. Worst
And it's
cop.
like half scene that he has.
Yeah.
Sorry, worst cop?
The SWAT, they just burst in and didn't ask any questions and just shot Dyson instantly.
A good point. Yeah,
They were
the
actually more
trigger
aggressive,
happy
weren't they?
SWAT. Yeah.
Yeah. There was
Uh,
like they said to the Terminator downstairs, don't move,
Yeah,
hands in the
they
air,
gave him
or
some
stuff like
warning.
that.
Dyson's
Exactly.
fucking
Gave a
everything.
machine warning, but not an actual person.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can I nominate the T-1000 as best cop? Is he eligible as best
he
cop?
was good.
Well,
Like I said,
he might have done a night of police work. I'm not
I
sure.
reckon we've definitely said he has. So
Crime rate in LA goes down as the best cop in the world. Just takes everybody in.
he was a good cop.
Best chase. I put the one that's basically the one behind Bruce.
The LA River. I think
Yeah.
it's.
Yeah.
I think I would call it the LA River. I don't know if it is the LA River, but yeah, the sewer is what you want to call it around LA. Oh
Worst
yeah, sewer.
accent.
All-time high moment for sewers, I think, in cinema. I think
Yes.
we may have actually found
Finally.
from Doom to this, we've come a long way.
Arnie's is all over the place for me in this film.
Oh, his
One
accent.
minute
Just the
it sounds
accent.
normal, yeah, and the other times it's really robotic, and I don't know where that was going for. It's just
He was learning.
I can't say notice it
Maybe.
fluctuating, I'll be
No,
honest.
I was learning. Worst
but
accent
the
is
worst one is when he gets flogged stuck to the ground. He goes, "What did you do that for?" "Because you told me to." Fucking annoys me. It's
No.
just really
I would
robotic.
say worst if you could worst accent, Edward Furlong, his voice breaking. Puberty.
Maybe. That's his worst voice, I would
Puberty
say.
is the worst one.
Puberty is the worst accent.
I put best song / the whole soundtrack's good, but Bad to the Bone for me.
I
I
think
like
You
Back
Could
to
Be
the
Mine by Guns N' Roses, but Bad to the Bone's fine. I like the
I'd
Guns
say
N'
Back
Roses
to the
song a
Bone.
lot. Guns N' Roses song comes back in Salvation, which I have a soft
Yeah.
spot for, so I like that. But yeah,
That
Bad to the
film's the
Bone.
scariest film I've ever seen. Still.
Yes.
Best jump scare coming up.
Yeah. That'd be
Most
the winner
annoying
that
kid is John, because I wanted to be him so much growing up. I just wanted to be involved with the Terminator.
I'll be honest, I still want the
That's
Public
a bit
Enemy
weird,
t-shirt.
Chris, not being involved with the Terminator.
Yeah, that came out wrong. That's not what I meant.
Terminator Dark Fate, that happens, doesn't it? Yes, I think most annoying kid probably is John Connor, because we've already established the ginger kid is a worldwide hero. So
Best product placement, I put Pepsi.
Oh, this is hotly contested. There was a lot of product, but I will give it to Pepsi purely because of can placement in that scene. Because quite clearly he's
like-
holding it weirdly on a clipboard, and then the guy walks in front and he turns around and it's still perfectly placed.
Yeah.
There's
Its
also
only
a-
rival was Subway.
Yeah,
Was the only
Subway
thing
was
I
a
liked.
couple of times.
a Pepsi can machine behind John in the slow
Right.
motion
Right.
scene where he sees
Yeah.
the Terminator.
No, that was 100% placed just to move around the camera. It's like, right, we've got to get Pepsi.
I might be wrong. Probably if we quickly YouTube, I bet we could find an Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminator Pepsi advert for around
There
that time.
are,
Yeah, I feel like
I prepare to have your minds blown because this is the Chewbacca award coming up.
Oh God, here we
I forget what that is.
It's
Doesn't make
it doesn't make
sense.
any sense. When the
Right,
T1000 goes silvery, he has a gun on his hip,
Uh-huh.
which he can't make.
Uh-huh.
Is it not an actual
It doesn't,
gun?
it doesn't make any sense. No, it's an actual gun,
Yeah, it's an actual gun.
but he can't. How the T1000 can't make a
It's
gun
on him.
because it's got moving parts.
But they not have a gun.
Yeah, it's
Like,
on him.
oh, I've got a gun.
He encased
No.
it in, like, he had the gun, but when he went through the bars, he encased everything.
No, not
in
that
the
point.
bell.
When he comes at the fire,
Same thing. It's still on him. He's picked it
No.
up with his liquid metal and it's going there because that's where his belt is.
because in the thingamay, he shoots a gun and chucks it down and chases after John. And then he gets set on fire, he goes all silvery, and there's a gun in his hip. He makes the gun, which he's not supposed to be able to do. Does not
Nah.
make sense.
All
Go
right.
back and watch
If
it.
this Chewbacca award is something that exists, which
Yes.
I kind of forgot it had, I'm going with
Well,
the
it's-
paradox of John Connor's life is the thing that
Well,
doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make
Yeah.
sense.
Carry on. That's me.
Now you just spent. Right. You've covered a lot. Best costume. The Terminator's an
I
absolute
missed
badass.
that. Yeah, I missed that one.
Yeah.
That's the motorbike Terminator.
Yeah, Motorbike Terminator's a badass look, but
Yes.
Robert Patrick dresses the policeman. I mean, like that.
Well,
That's
basically Robert Patrick is a policeman, pretty much, is where we're going.
maybe yeah. Best death. I'm going Xander Berkeley stabbed in the kitchen is the best
Oh,
death.
He always gets me with that.
That's- Best entrance. Arnie coming up on the gear at the end in the factory. It's a great way to enter.
Yeah.
Bang, bang. I like that. Best exit. I don't know if you mentioned it, but Arnie going into with his
Yeah,
thumb up.
that's
I'll
definitely
give you
good,
that.
yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Best exit.
Missed that one.
Best fight. Naked Arnie bar fight is the best fight.
Pretty good.
Best hair. Again, has to be compared to the first film. Linda Hamilton, her hair is exceptional in this
It's less
compared to the
80s
first
this
film.
time.
So much more cooler. She has a bit where it's tied back. She's a bit where it's not tied back. She looks like a badass. She won Most Desirable Female in TV Movie Awards. So I'm going Linda Hamilton for Best Hair. Done that. Best Stunt. That's to be a nominee in there somewhere for Best Stunt.
If somebody actually jumped off a bridge and that, they definitely did it. I would say either
Yeah.
the motorbike guy, it's a bit more dangerous than a truck, but
Yeah,
either
motorbike.
one
In
of
fact,
those guys jumping off.
in the past, I talked about having seen stunts from a film that I hadn't seen before. It might be Shanghai Noon. I've seen them go through the motorbike stunt on something on a TV show before. So I think the stunts at the beginning of the chase with the truck and the motorbikes, I think might be my answer. We've done best team. Best twist. Arnold Schwarzenegger's playing the good guy, not the bad guy.
I reckon it would have been a good twist if you didn't know about it, but as it stands,
I think it's a good twist.
It is a good twist, yes.
Yeah, I think it's a good twist for those who didn't know, obviously. Done. Danny John Jules, I'm going Dean Norris showing up back to back as a SWAT guy in both films, and me spotting him. I think that is Danny John Jules. Michael Pena, Terminator or Sarah with like the Judgment Day. I thought mainly the scene where Terminator actually sat Dyson down and is explaining, here's the next 40 years, while Sarah explains to us that he's explaining the next 40 years. Like an inception of storytelling, Michael Pena's. Yeah, Inception Pena. I've got Furlong was worst acting. I don't know if you nominated him, Chris, because I think you're in favor.
I hope it was best support.
Worst plan. Sarah smashing the CPU or going to smash the CPU shouldn't actually do it. Might be worst plan. I don't know if there's a.
I would say getting a liquid nitrogen oil tanker.
Yeah,
maybe.
I
never came back to that.
That could freeze me. I would crash this bad boy. What could possibly go wrong?
At one stage in this film, they're in this kind of shitty wee truck, kind of car, running away from the tanker. Not at any point did they think, let's just stop and go the other way, because he's going to be 5 minutes turning that tanker around.
That's a U-turn.
And we're gone. He doesn't know where we've gone. So I don't know if that's worst plan, but I meant to mention that earlier on. Or maybe it's T1000 wasting time overnight and not actually going to get John. And I've done one special effects. I think that's me. And we're already on product placement. So is that us?
Object.
Oh.
I don't know why, but for some reason this stood out to me this watching. It never has ever before. The balloon dinosaurs in Dyson Cyberdyne Solutions.
Yeah.
I missed them.
Like Brachiosaurus behind them.
It was like 3 of them. 3 times that scene came up, and I was like, nah. And then about 10 minutes later, they go back to Cyber. It's like, it's a fucking dinosaur there. And then later on, it's like, it is a fucking inflatable dinosaur just sitting on somebody's desk.
I missed it the whole time.
So
I missed it.
Blew my mind.
Fair enough. Okay, point 9. We're ready to finish. We can go for hours here. Moral. Excuse me. Moral of the story. What lesson are we supposed to learn from Terminator 2? I will say the future is not set. There is no fate, but what we make for ourselves is the moral of the story. Chris.
Apparently, everyone keeps their keys in the sun visor of a car.
Yep. That's why I've always thought it's the film that taught me that. But my one is don't fuck with the future.
Definitely not. I think you've used that one before. Maybe in the first Terminator. Point 10 on the 10-point podcast is the 10-point rating where we rate the film out of 10 points. Andy picked it. He's first. I was going to pick it. I'll go second. Chris, you can go at the end. Andy.
There's a big part of this film where just everything that Edward Furlong does grinds me more and more every single time I watched it. And I've watched the version of this that I think it's a little too long. There's a little too many extra bits in it. However, rating it on my original viewings and all that, and even this viewing, it's a 9. It's almost a near perfect film.
Ooh.
But Edward Furlong, his voice, almost single-handedly brought it down 1 point.
For me, the danger wasn't Edward Furlong, it was Mexico for me. But I think it's perfection in its genre, this film. And it changed cinema for the better. I did a wee bit of Googling. I thought, what are the 10 most highest grossing films of all time? And I think without this film, we wouldn't have 9 of them. And I'm being maybe Star Wars Force Awakens could maybe have existed without this. But I think technological advancements meant they could make that film. The outlier being The Lion King. I think The Lion King would have existed regardless of Terminator 2 didn't. But I think all the rest aren't there because of Terminator 2. And I love Terminator 2. It speaks to me. It's one of my most favourite films of all time. It's a 10 from me. Chris.
Absolutely love this film. Hands down, probably my favourite film I've ever seen. I've watched, you don't love a film, watched it 4 times in the space of a month.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
fair point.
it blew my mind seeing the newer version. I've never seen.
I was happy for it. I said it is purely Edward Furlong in this one. If they just pick anybody else, they're onto a almost near perfect winner. It's just a little bit of bad casting.
I wonder who, like, it obviously would be someone who was 10. Like, someone who was 10 couldn't do the
Culkin,
role.
probably.
Yeah.
Macaulay Culkin. Imagine it was Macaulay Culkin. I wonder how different this film
Could
would
it
have
have
been
been
to Macaulay
better?
Culkin.
Sean
No,
Astin.
it wouldn't. Elijah Wood or something like that. Elijah would
Yeah.
be quite good.
That would be good.
Elijah Wood, yeah, he rides a motorbike in Deep Impact.
A 10 for Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Andy did is Die Hard? Doing a Die Hard, because I only gave Die Hard a 9 or something like that. You
Yes,
both gave it
so
10s,
close.
I think. So
But
yeah.
before we go on, can we all agree
Mhm.
that this is one of the ultimate Christmas films?
Can you explain how?
I've been like dying to find out where the Christmas is here.
Right, well, one, this is usually on Christmas, between Christmas and New Year. It's on all
Okay.
the time. Right.
The Great Escape theory that it's a Christmas film because it's always on at Christmas, which it isn't.
Correct.
Okay.
However, this is ultimately the story of Jesus.
Okay, I can see where you're going.
Right, and it's like the Jesus and the wise men, and they've got to go and like get the star and stuff like that. And it's all about like Sarah's technically the Virgin Mary. She's like, you know, technically, because her future doesn't actually exist, but somehow she's got the Immaculate Conception from a future guy that may or may not exist as time paradox.
Nobody believes her, yeah.
And John Connor's ultimately Jesus, and then you've got, you know, his disciples and the T8, the thing. So it's Christmas. It might not have the Christmas trees and all that, but baby Jesus didn't have Christmas trees. So the whole story of Christmas is the baby Jesus.
I'll give you it.
I am saying that this is basically a baby Jesus story.
This is it's a telling of the
It's a
nativity.
futuristic telling, but
I was gonna say the modern Jesus story.
I reckon this is the modern day story of how Jesus was born. Because like ultimately, John Connor, like in the future, if he sends himself back, he could have like won bets and stuff like that, done some magic, probably learned how to turn wine into water. There'd be loads of things he could have done. We'd have had that.
That's a different film I want to see now as the baby Jesus with Terminators. Just Robert Patrick.
So at least we can agree that this is Christmassy.
Stabbing a wise man.
I can see how you would say it's a telling.
And also, it's got really good lights, like Christmas lights, like this. The nuclear explosion. It's pretty bright. It's a Christmas tree light going off.
Fair enough. A 10 for Terminator Day puts it, I think, in the top 3, if not top 5 films we've ever voted for. I have compiled the top 10 for the pointies of our all-time scoring lists, which we'll talk about then. This makes me a reason to do it now because this is going to be in it. Next time, we have gone for the Christmassiest definitive Christmas movie ever. We've trawled through every possible festive film we could find, and we've ruled out some. We've been in favour of others, and the three of us came in to the most unanimous decision for the final pick of season 8 for the pick of destiny on Christmas week, or whatever the hell it's going to come out. 2003's holiday family quirky comedy, IMDb coming in good there again, Elf, starring Will Ferrell and James Caan and others, and Zoe Deschanel, that's what you say her. Elf, the Christmas movie, something a bit more modern. We don't want to go one of the classics because all of our films have been in the 90s and 80s this season. So
I might actually top myself and have to watch A Beautiful Life, or whatever it's called. A Wonderful Life.
Wonderful Life.
Yeah, we would all Phoebe it, I think, if we didn't have to watch that. So Elf, I'm sure it'll be on. It'll be at the cinema if you don't have it on DVD or
£5 special offer.
presumably on Prime or Netflix or something like that. Anywhere in the world you can watch Elf when it's December, I think. So 1 week to watch Elf. It'll be our Christmas episode and the end of the season. And we'll see you next time on the 10 Point Podcast.